All right, let's see if that works. It looks like it worked. Yay! Excellent. Welcome, everyone. Insert ad. Oh, I have a button to insert an ad now. Excellent. Why don't we start with that? No, I'm kidding. Also, let's turn off this live thing because I don't need to see myself. I make that 144p anyway because I have limited bandwidth for some reason here on my SDSL connection. Anyway, hello everyone. I'm Leonard French, your favorite copyright attorney. Oh, favorite copyright attorney. So good morning. We're talking this morning about, I guess it's this Twitter, no, excuse me, Twitch. It found it on Twitter. This Twitch post from Devin Nash. It is insane that Twitch informs partners that they deleted their content and that there is more content in violation despite having no identification system to find out what it is. The solution to DMCA for creators is to delete their life's work. This is pure gross negligence. Good morning, Runkle of the Bailey. Good morning, Andre Niemand, Eisenhorn, the Las Vegas vocalist. Good morning from Las Vegas. Oh my goodness, you guys are really up early. 2 a.m. from the West Coast. Hello, everyone. Hello, good morning. All right. However, this is going to be up as a VOD, so I'm going to power through this. So let's quick go over what was sent, and then I think I can explain, I can answer some questions here because everybody has questions. We are writing to inform you that your channel was subject to one or more of these DMCA takedown notifications and that the content identified has been deleted. We recognize that by deleting this content, we are not giving you the option to file a counter notification or seek a retraction from the rights holder. In consideration of this, we have processed these notifications and are issuing you a one-time warning to give you the chance to learn about copyright law and the tools available to manage the content on your channel. We know that copyright law and the DMCA are confusing. Yes, Twitch seems to be confused as well. Over the past few months, we've been improving the tools available to help you manage music use in your live and recorded content. These include the ability to delete all of your clips at once and control who can create clips on your channel, scanning new clips with Audible Magic. Okay, so Audible Magic sounds like an Amazon thing, and they just called it Audible Magic. That's interesting that they're using their brand that way. And launching a free way to stream high-quality music on your channel, Soundtrack by Twitch. Now that these tools have been released to all creators, we will resume normal processing of DMCA takedown notifications 12 noon Pacific, Friday, October 23rd, 2020. To avoid receiving a DMCA takedown notification for the recorded content that remains on your channel, we recommend you take the following action. Review your clips, VODs, contents in your dashboard, and delete anything that includes unlicensed materials. If you are unsure, delete it all. Join the Creator Camp live learning session October 21st at 2 p.m. PST. Maybe I will try to find that. We'll provide an overview of our music guidelines and discuss recent product updates that make it easier to protect your channel and answer questions from chat in real time. Review the guidelines, and the guidelines. Okay. So this is obviously a big thing that's happened. Twitch appears to have received a number of takedown notices over the summer, which ended a month ago, and didn't process them until now. So first, that's a problem for Twitch. If the music industry really wanted to pursue it, Twitch is probably no longer in their safe harbor. What is a safe harbor? It is a legal term for this law, the DMCA, Section 512. There's more than one section to the DMCA, but this is the one regarding limitations of liability. Limitations on liability relating to material online, and that would be limitations of Twitch's liability if they follow this law. Well, Part A is transitory digital network communications. That's not them. B is system caching. That's not them. But C is information residing on systems or networks at the direction of users. So user-generated content. So this allows a service provider to not be liable for monetary relief, which does mean they can be liable for injunctive relief, which would be when the music industry, in this example, sends a, or rather obtains a court order through a court process, which usually a court process has to involve Twitch, but we do have something in the law called a temporary restraining order, which can be ex parte, meaning you don't necessarily need to have the opposing party there, which is, it can be terrible, but it's temporary. It's 14 days. So they could be liable under injunctive relief, meaning they could be ordered to take content down, but they shall not be liable for monetary relief. Or I guess injunctive relief as well under some cases for infringement of copyright by reason of the storage at the direction of the user of material that resides on a system or network controlled or operated by the service provider. So that'd be Twitch hosting your user-generated content. If the service provider does not have actual knowledge that the material is infringing, in the absence of such knowledge, is not aware of facts or circumstances, so that's like red flag knowledge, upon obtaining such knowledge, acts expeditiously to remove or disable access to the material. They also cannot have a direct financial benefit attributable to the infringing activity in a case where the service provider has the right and ability to control it. And C, upon notification of claimed infringement, responds expeditiously to remove or disable access to the material. Now, this happens on YouTube all the time, and you certainly can find no scarcity to all of the DMCA complaints that people post on Twitter and make videos about on YouTube, etc. So in some sense, this is Twitch now coming into the mainstream of DMCA processing. And now they claim they will respond to DMCA notices, but did they respond expeditiously when they wait from receiving DMCA takedown notices, quote, over the summer, and they don't send them until October 20th or October 21st? No, they are probably not in their safe harbor, but that's an argument between the senders of the DMCA takedown notices, who I'm assuming are the music industry. So that's various rights holders, but Sony BMG would be a big one that sends DMCA takedown notices. Other members of the RIAA, those 4-letter words that we don't like too much. There's something in here about designated agents, so they can designate somebody to receive takedown notices. The elements of the notification are here. It has to be signed. It has to identify the copyrighted work. So that's part of it. Is what about the user that allegedly received a takedown and they haven't identified the work? Rather, Twitch have just deleted the work. So that's something. Let's go back here. Information reasonably sufficient to provide contact information, a statement that they have a good faith belief. That's because if they don't have a sincere good faith belief, then it's a misrepresentation. But we're going to get into whether you actually have a claim if there was some kind of misrepresentation, and how would you know since they didn't identify the material to you. This is a gross mishandling of the DMCA, but I'm going to also explain why you probably can't do anything about it. And a statement that the notice is accurate under penalty of perjury. So good luck. I have never seen anybody processed for perjury for sending a false DMCA takedown notice, although, it would be nice. Let's see. Subject to Clause 2, a notification from the copyright owner or from a person authorized to act on their behalf that fails to comply shall not be considered under paragraph 1A, which would be this actual red flag knowledge thing. And 2, in case in which notification that is provided to the service provider's designated agent fails to comply substantially, but substantially complies with the other clauses, the subparagraph 1 only applies if the service provider promptly attempts to contact the person making the notification. Okay, so that's for the sender of the DMCA, not for the recipient of Twitch's takedown operation. So what has apparently happened here is, why are they holding nuke all of it? That's not an offensive comment, YouTube. What the heck? I can see the other one has the F word in it. So YouTube tends to hold chat messages that have the F word in it. So maybe just don't send the F word. I'm not telling you not to send the F word. I'm just saying, you know, if you don't want me to miss your message, because I'm trying to do two things at once here. So what's going on here, I think, is that Twitch received a bunch of takedown notices over the summer for music, unlicensed music, that is played in the background of people who are playing games and otherwise making Twitch videos. Usually this won't be for music that's playing in-game, because most gaming developers and publishers want you to play their game, and usually the music is okay. But sometimes they have a little checkbox in the audio tab of your settings for the game that says, you know, streaming mode, and it won't play unlicensed music, or music that is unlicensed for you to stream. Music that's licensed for the game, but maybe not music that's licensed for you to stream on Twitch while you're playing a game. So you have to make sure that you're not playing unlicensed music on your stream. This doesn't appear to be mass DMCA takedowns for fair uses and things, but they've also foreclosed your right to make fair uses. So what if your Twitch stream wasn't you playing a video game with unlicensed music in the background? Well, two things. Let's start first. If you have unlicensed music playing in the background of your stream, that's not a fair use. I can't really think of any way in which your playing a video game transforms the use of the music with some kind of commentary and criticism, news reporting, education about the music. You're not playing a video game to teach us about the music. You're not playing a video game to report on, you know, the 8-note ostinato in Katy Perry's Dark Horse or Flame's Joyful Noise. You're using the music so that everybody can listen to cool music while you stream a video game, that's understandable, but that's not what the law says you can do. Maybe the law should be updated for that, or maybe like music owners should make it easier to license their music for that purpose, but they don't, not yet. You have services like Epidemic Sound, you have services like Monster Cat. I'm sure there are others out there. I think we pay $15 a month to Epidemic Sound, and I can stream Epidemic Sound's music. But Epidemic Sound's music is not mainstream music. You're not going to find Circles from Post Malone on there, which is a subject of another copyright dispute, which is why I have that on my brain. So what if you are making a fair use? What if you made your video about teaching somebody about the dispute between Katy Perry and Flame over Dark Horse and Joyful Noise, and you used a few seconds or even a minute or two of material, and you got taken down by this? Well, that's probably a fair use, and you got taken down too. So don't you have a right to make a fair use under Lens for Universal? Yes, you do. But. You're on Twitch. Twitch has a user agreement, a terms of service, a licensing and use and agreement of how you can use their service. We just saw that there were like 3 sets of guidelines in that letter alone, right? So Twitch has the right to control what it hosts on its platform. So even if they improperly take down your material, even if they delete all of your content because they think that it's infringing, you probably don't have any recourse, because they always had the right to deny your content being hosted anyway. This has been tested a few times, and I think we even did a video on it. I don't remember where the link is, so I can't put a bubble, but somewhere on our channel is a link to YouTube not obeying DMCA counter notices. Let's show you what that is first. So down here under section 512G, no liability for taking down. A service provider shall not be liable to any person for any claim based on the service provider's good faith disabling of access to, removal of, or material or activity claimed to be infringing based on facts or circumstances from which infringing activity is apparent, regardless of whether the activity is ultimately determined to be infringing. So Twitch is not liable even if they take down material that you think is a fair use or that you think was wrong for them to take down. But they could be liable with respect to material residing at the direction of a subscriber if the material's removed, disabled, etc. Unless the service provider takes steps to promptly notify the subscriber that it has removed or disabled access to the material, which they did do here. Even though DMCA came in the summer, they didn't act till now, but they disabled the material now, and then they told you now. So they did promptly notify you. I can't disagree with that. Upon receipt of a counter notification, provides the person who provided the notification under the subsection with a copy of the counter notification. So they should pass your counter notification on. And if they don't, then they could be liable. And replaces the material with not less than 10, not more than 14 business days following receipt of said counter notice. And a counter notice looks like this here in paragraph 3, which is just a statement, a signature, the identifying the material, and the subscriber's name and address. It does not even have to include a statement of fair use or something. Unfortunately, YouTube has been requiring that, and then YouTube has been doing this as well, not processing counter notifications. Several of my clients have issued compliant counter notifications, and here's how it goes. We will make more than this counter notification. Will include a 5th part explaining how the use of the material is a fair use, and YouTube will write back and say, well, we don't agree, so we're not processing your counter notification. Pretty much almost word for word. We don't agree that you've made a fair use, so we're not processing your counter notification. Well, a counter notification should just be a legal process, not a factual analysis. It should be a legal process by which the parties are now sent to court, and the plaintiff or DMCA takedown sender has to take their matter now to court, and that this is not working anymore. But follow this out with me though. What are the consequences? YouTube never had a requirement to host your content in the first place. It's not like you have a contract with YouTube requiring YouTube to host your content. Maybe Vimeo, I haven't looked at the Vimeo terms of service, but maybe some other host, maybe you pay for hosting, maybe you pay a web host for hosting your website, and you put your content directly on your website, not a YouTube embed link, not a Twitch embedded link or something, but you put the content directly on your web host. Well, you pay them and you have a contract with them, and they have the right. They have fewer rights. You have to read your contract, because the terms of service could be the same as YouTube and say they can take down anything. But let's assume for a hypothetical that they have no right to take down, to prevent you from putting material up, and that the DMCA would be the only reason they could take down your material. Well, maybe that web host is now liable for not restoring your content if you send a proper counter notification and they don't obey it. But you don't have such a contractual relationship with YouTube, and you don't have such a contractual relationship with Twitch. So what liability do they have for not putting your video back up upon receiving a proper takedown or counter notification to a takedown? I don't think that they do. I wish that they did. I wish that there was some motivator for them to obey the DMCA. They used to obey the DMCA. Even just a couple years ago, they used to obey the DMCA. And then major media gets involved, and then all of a sudden YouTube sees $signs, and the bigger an organization gets, the less community oriented they get. I actually wrote a song about this, which maybe someday I'll release it, called the Copyright Song. Does Twitch need a lawyer? It seems like Twitch could have handled this better. It seems like Twitch should be passing DMCA notices along when it receives them. It should be taking down the material when it receives them. It should be listening to counter notifications and putting material back up at its discretion at worst, at best. It should just be following the law word for word, verbatim. And if it did that, then it would be following this section 3 here. Well, what claim could you have if Twitch takes something down and you're sure it was a fair use? Well, the only real claim you might have is under section F here for a misrepresentation. A person who knowingly materially misrepresents, so that's important, knowingly and materially and misrepresents that material or activity is infringing, or vice versa. If you knowingly materially misrepresent that activity or material was removed by mistake or misidentification, then that person shall be liable for actual damages, including costs and attorney's fees incurred by the alleged infringer, which is either the person sending the improper takedown notice or the person sending an improper DMCA counter notice, as a result of the service provider relying on the misrepresentation. Okay, so great. What does that mean? That means that if you are sure that you made a fair use, you could defend yourself in court under this misrepresentation statute and get actual damages. So what are actual damages? Those are damages that you can prove that you suffered. Damages, you would have to show how much money you were making and how much money you then didn't make because your video was taken down improperly. And first, you're going to have that hurdle of, well, Twitch can take down whatever they want, and then they don't owe you anything. That you've disclaimed liability. You've agreed that Twitch has no liability in Twitch's terms of service. I don't even have to read Twitch's terms of service, and I can make a pretty educated guess that it says those two very important things: that they have no obligation to put up your videos, and no obligation to host your stream, and no liability for not hosting your stream. So that's usually the first barrier to entry, is that they have no liability. Second, if you sue Twitch, don't you think you're going to be ending your relationship with Twitch? So in other words, if you're Ninja and you have a multi-million dollars a year maybe not contract, but it could be contract, agreement or situation with Twitch, a Twitchuation, and you sue Twitch, don't you think maybe you're going to be ending your relationship with Twitch? And so is it really in your best interest to enforce your limited rights against Twitch? Well, okay, so maybe you don't do that. Maybe you sue Sony or whoever the sender is of a takedown notice. Oh, well, okay, they've got a lot of money, so be prepared for a fight. But it's going to be a pretty simple fight. You're going to have a pretty simple complaint. You're going to have a pretty simple series of things that have to happen, most notably of which would be the discovery of relevant evidence, where you would ask them for the reasoning behind sending the takedown notice, and then you might be able to depose a figure who represents the corporation, who has knowledge of the situation, the Twitchuation, and you will depose them and gather evidence on whether or not they knew that they were making a misrepresentation. Willful blindness is included in that, so it's either knowing, should have known, or willful blindness. And so if they knew or should have known by red flag knowledge, or were willfully blind to the fair use or other proper use that you made. So example, you might have a license, and then maybe Twitch took down your video which had licensed music in it without checking with you whether you had a license, and without restoring it because they don't obey counter notices, right? Well, maybe you have some kind of a claim for actual damages, including costs and attorney's fees. Great. That's about the farthest you could possibly go, is pursue that. And I can somewhat tell you that the vast majority of, I can make an educated professional guess that the vast majority of people who received these DMCA takedown notices en masse and unexpectedly and all that, the vast majority of them are not going to sue, are not going to have a stomach for litigation, are not going to have the fortitude for litigation. And then, the people who even want to sue, probably many of them can't afford to sue. You don't get your actual damages. You don't get your costs and attorney's fees until the end of a case, until the thing is either settled, which would be not really that likely, or when you reach the summary judgment or trial stage. Win there at the end of the case, get a judgment, and then enforce that judgment, and then maybe you get money, or maybe they fight it on appeal, or maybe they just don't pay the judgment, so you're out all the money. You have probably hurt your relationship with Twitch. You might not be making a whole lot of money. So unless you have the resources already to do all of that and move on from whatever the new situation is going to be, you're probably not suing. So when Twitch goes and does something like this, there's not a whole lot that you can do other than complain about it on Twitter, and maybe complain about it on Twitch, or maybe complain about it on YouTube. So here's what you can do going forward. There are DMCA guidelines linked in this. This is a screenshot, so I don't actually have the link. But there are DMCA guidelines, there are community guidelines, and there are music guidelines. And you should read those and see what they say, because that's probably going to affect, they're probably the same guidelines that Twitch is using to gauge and judge when to take things down or issue takedown notices. You should adjust yourself to this new norm that in the past you used to be able to just stream whatever you want, and when Twitch identified unlicensed music, they would just mute the stream, right? And so the playback of the clip or the playback of the video on demand of your stream would have that section muted if there was a match. Well, they're not doing that anymore, at least not according to this. What they're doing now is identifying those clips and taking them down. Possibly, now here's another thing. Under the DMCA, a service provider, host, whatever, has to have a termination policy. So YouTube has this 3 strikes policy. The first strike has some consequences, the second strike has greater consequences, and the third strike terminates your channel. We recently did a story on an ISP, maybe 2 ISPs, that didn't obey their own termination policy. One of which even had a 13 strike policy and still didn't obey their policy. And the judge said that they could probably still get away with a 13 strike policy if only they obeyed it. Well, Twitch will have to obey their termination policy. So somewhere along the way, they have to terminate your account if they keep getting DMCA takedown notices for your account and you don't fix the problem. You don't stop. So if you don't stop with the first one, and you don't stop with the second one, somewhere in there is Twitch's termination policy. It might not be 3 strikes, but 3 strikes is a good number. So I would say, until we know how many strikes, let's guess that it's going to be 3. So don't disobey the DMCA. Don't use unlicensed music. Don't use unlicensed music, and obey Twitch's guidelines. And adapt yourself to the new normal. If you want to play music, make sure that it's properly licensed. If you don't know how to find a license for music, well, as I've already said, there's Monster Cat, there's Epidemic Sound. If you wanted to use mainstream music, like top 40 type music, I'm not sure you're going to get that license too easily. Those are reserved for highly paid licenses. Those are called sync licenses, where you're allowed to play music in sync with a video. So in the background of a video, or as part of a... Of course, there's a truck beeping outside. Nothing I can do about that. I'm sorry. Hopefully it'll be over soon. Hopefully that tone is not copyrighted, and I don't get a DMCA for having played the truck backing up music. Human music is what we call it, I think, in Rick and Morty, right? So you have to adapt yourself to the new normal. I don't like it either. It does seem like there is soundtrack by Twitch. So Twitch looks like they're going to be obtaining licenses for some kind of music. I don't know what that's going to be, if that's going to be worthwhile, or if it's just going to be generic music that nobody wants to hear. But there's some really good stuff on Epidemic Sound that might work for you. Let's see, Audible Magic, new clips with Audible Magic. These include the ability to delete all your clips, scanning new clips with Audible Magic. So I'm guessing that's Twitch's content ID for music, which uses the Audible trademark because they bought Audible, now they're going to use that trademark. So Audible Magic scans your clips and I guess will tell you when there is a hit against music, maybe unlicensed music, but that still doesn't tell you whether you're going to receive a DMCA takedown for it. So that's what's going on there. Let me see if there's any questions, and we'll take some questions from the audience here. You don't need to apologize for your language. That's not me excoriating you for your language. That's just if you don't curse, then YouTube won't hold the chat. Let me go over here and put this on my big screen and maybe blow it up a little bit. Apparently doesn't like the word nuke either. I'm not sure why. Nuke all the VODs and host them somewhere else. I guess that's for the VODs that are remaining, because it sounds like they already nuked your VODs. So that's videos on demand. That's the hosted videos based on what you streamed. It sounds like that they already did that. This is just money grubbing. This is not a replacement for the music individually, and the streamer's behavior is transformative. No, I don't think streamer's behavior is transformative. What would transformative behavior look like under fair use law? Transformative behavior would be creating commentary, educational material, criticism, etc. But don't just stop there. Oh, I criticized something, so I'm transformative. No, you have to be criticizing the music. So unless your stream is commentary criticism on the music, and you obey the other 3 fair use factors, which include using only the amount of the music that you need to make your commentary criticism point, then no, you are not transformative. Simply playing music in the background of playing a video game is not transformative in any way. Let's see. Don't use unlicensed music from a-holes. Yeah. Are they jerks for sending DMCA takedown notices? We can agree with that all day. There is no question that the music industry suddenly deciding that Twitch is a source of infringement and a potential source of future revenue, which maybe that's what it is. Maybe they have made a license agreement with Twitch. Maybe they have decided to open their own, the music industry, which is more than one rights holder. So, you really can't get down on any one of them until we see who it is. But let's assume for a moment Sony BMG, because it's a really easy one to target and assume. If Sony is coming out with its own licensing system for streamers, this would sort of be the first thing they would do, is take all of your unfair uses away, your not fair uses away, and then by the way, you should be using Audible Magic and Soundtrack by Twitch. Or whatever Sony BMG's product is going to be. Yes, I would probably get DMCA'd for the truck sound. Is playing Transformers music transformative? Robots in disguise, music in disguise. Sadly, no. Twitch is a live platform. I don't think this will spark a huge change. Well, the live nature of Twitch doesn't actually change anything. You can still get a DMCA takedown notice for live music, for the live use of that music that's unlicensed. Live use of unlicensed music will still be something you can take a You can get a DMCA takedown notice for, or worse, you could get a copyright infringement lawsuit. If, for example, let's see, what did I see? Sometime over the summer, I saw a defendant who had taken what otherwise was licensed music, but it was licensed to be used with other content and was simply reproducing the licensed music. So instead of it being licensing the music for use with, playing a video game or whatever, they just took and reproduced the music. Here's the track from so-and-so, word for word verbatim, just reproduced, no content over it. That's also illegal. That person got some kind of a takedown or lawsuit. Looks like there's a lot of people who have opinions about particular rights holders. No copyright sounds can go straight to hell for their spam botting. Sure, great. Yes, it's 11:32 where I am in the morning. That's why it's bright outside. And I'm sorry there are no kitties on the cat perch. So streaming dies. Well, only if streaming was only alive because of unlicensed music, which I doubt. So I can understand knee-jerk reactions. I can understand being upset by this, but I doubt that it's going to change streaming that much, other than now you won't be able to listen to unlicensed music on someone's stream as easily. I am US-based, Andre. I am living in Luxembourg right now because I got married and my wife lives and works in Luxembourg. So I am now a registered resident with health insurance and everything. And now we are trying to figure out how in the world I'm supposed to go back and forth because it's still the coronavirus pandemic and there are still travel restrictions and everything. So I digress. What if someone writes their own music? Well, then you're in the clear. If you write your own music, you shouldn't be able to get a takedown notice unless your music was somebody else's music. So, assuming for a moment that you write something original and that it's not substantially similar or worse, not a direct copy of somebody else's music, then you should be in the clear. So writing your own music would be great. More easier for people who can't write their own music, and even for people who can write their own music, is to license the music. So Epidemic Sound, Monster Cat, I'm sure there's another service out there. If your stream relied on unlicensed music for its income, then it deserves to die. I think we could be a little less hyperbolic than that, though. I doubt the stream was based on unlicensed music. I think people were just listening to their favorite music in the background while they were hosting their streams. If all they were doing was reproducing licensed music, then that's the worst of the worst kinds of copyright infringement that you could make on Twitch. And I suspect that that's exactly what kind of thing that they would target. What about a video game soundtrack currently playing in a game? Should be okay, but definitely check to see if that is okay to stream. Some games, like Rocket League, I think, has a button for streaming mode where it will not play music that is not licensed for streaming, because Rocket League has some music in game. I remember an old game called Burnout Paradise. Was like one of those action racing games. They gave you a whole city and then you would race around, and it was kind of I played it recently and realized how annoying it was because they constantly talk at you and take you out of the game so they can talk at you, and I hate that. But that game plays a lot of licensed music that's probably not licensed for streaming, so I doubt that you can play Take Me Out to Paradise City on your game while streaming without it also being some kind of copyright infringement. I am a Luxembourg resident. To be an actual Luxembourger, I think I have to be a citizen. How does this impact music that is sampled? It depends entirely on how much you've sampled. What if you did parody lyrics to every song? Well, the parody has to parody the song. So you can't just change the lyrics, you have to parody the song. When Weird Al Yankovic makes a parody or changes the lyrics to a song, sometimes that's a parody, sometimes it's not. If he's not making criticism, commentary, news reporting, education on the song, the original, So if I was to take Katy Perry's Dark Horse and change the lyrics to criticize Katy Perry, that's probably a parody and probably a fair use. But if I was to change the lyrics to Dark Horse so that I can sell Toyotas at my car dealership, that's not a parody. That's an infringement. This is live. This is not a premiere. Yes, well, I recently tried to play Burnout Paradise, and of course all the servers are turned off now, so that was a very lonely experience. Let's see, it makes the license more expensive, yes. The problem licensing-wise is that to change the way people listen to music from non-interactive in the background to interactive, where users can request music, yes, I believe that does make things more expensive, but the first scenario where you just listening to music in the background, like if I just started playing all along the Watchtower, so for example, I wanted to do that when we were doing the Watchtower, the Jehovah's Witnesses, the Reddit and the YouTube subpoenas that they were receiving. I wanted to play all along the Watchtower, and I can't, because I'm not licensed for that. And if I did that, not only would I get a content ID claim on YouTube, I could get a takedown notice. I could get a strike against my channel. And so we did that once after I looked up what YouTube's content ID permissions were, and that was privately on a private stream with our supporters, and then from there, didn't do it again. Any chance you'll do a video on the Dragonlance authors versus Wizards of the Coasts? Yes, actually, that was what was supposed to be being done right now. This displaced that, so we will get a video on that probably later today or early tomorrow, depending upon how much time I have, as I have some appointments this afternoon. Would criticizing the pop music industry as a whole constitute fair use in the Dark Horse example? Maybe not. It depends on who you're criticizing. If you're criticizing Katy Perry's publisher, maybe. We'd have to, every fair use is its own analysis. So we have to see what you're doing, exactly how you're doing it, and then we'd be able to tell you whether we can guess if it's a fair use. And if it's a guess, then most of the time I'm also going to tell you you're still taking a risk that you might not be making a fair use, and some judge might disagree with you. Guessing stuff like Guitar Hero is dead. Well, in a sense, yeah. If you're playing, there's a borderline case for you. If you're playing a video game like Guitar Hero, well, maybe Guitar Hero, if you're playing it on stream, maybe the music in Guitar Hero is covered by some kind of streaming license, and you should have permission to do that. You would want to make sure that you check. How do you check that? You check with the owners. You check with the people who made the game, and you check with the authors and distributors of that music, which I realize might be difficult. But let's say you're playing Guitar Hero Billy Joel edition, and so it's all Billy Joel, every song is Billy Joel. Maybe you could look up something or write to Billy Joel, write to his distributor, publisher, write to the makers of Guitar Hero or whoever published that game, and say, hey, is it okay to stream this stuff, or am I going to get in trouble for playing the music? How should reaction streamers protect themselves from licensed music showing up in something like a PlayStation or Xbox press event? Yeah, good luck. If you're trying to restream something that's already happening live, and there's licensed music that was licensed for that venue and licensed for them to stream, it might still not be licensed for you to stream. This is where copyright law gets kind of complicated, but my opinion is that no, you probably don't have the right to restream somebody else's copyrighted content. So if it's, first of all, there's a couple things going on here. So let's say that you're watching a boxing match, you're watching an MMA fight. Can you just turn around and restream the MMA fight, but be making commentary over it? No, that's not going to be a fair use. You need to be using only the amount that you need to make your fair use and no more. So if you're just restreaming something while also making your own commentary and reaction over it, that's not enough. So an MST3K, Mystery Science Theater 3000 style, play the whole movie and make commentary over the whole movie, that's not going to be enough. That triggers two provisions of the DMCA. One, you didn't use only the amount that you needed. And two, you probably usurped the market. So if you stepped on the market in the sense that I can now watch your stream and not have to watch the fight or not have to watch the movie or not have to watch the match because I already watched it on your stream, that's stepping on the market. Now you're allowed to diminish the market by criticizing something, but it has to be also within the other fair use factors. So that's transformation. Criticism would be transformation. And then you only use the amount that you need to make the criticism or commentary point. And you have to make sure you're not stepping on the market otherwise. So then you can do it. No wonder we need lawyers to exist when things get so complicated. Yes, and I've spent now, I have an announcement. I have been a lawyer for 9 years as of yesterday. So go me. I have made it 9 years without any complaints, both legal complaints or customer complaints. So I'm very happy about that. Source, Tom Scott's video on copyright. Yes, go watch Tom Scott's video on copyright. I'm in it. I have a cameo. Tom Scott's an awesome person. I met him, fawned over him a little bit, and then we made a video. He made a video. I held the camera, and that was a lot of fun. And then I separately have a cameo in his copyright thing. So does the map guy. I forget his J. Foreman, I think his name is, and it was really cool to have a cameo in a Tom Scott video. Let's see. My friends stream their D&D games live, not taking someone else's video without permission. Okay, that should be fine. Should be no problem with streaming your own tabletop game if that's what you're doing. I'm playing Baldur's Gate right now with my wife. It's awesome. I love it. I can't believe how good it is for an early access game. Larian Studios really did a good job there. I think it is telling, and Klebowitz can't even go 9 weeks without complaints. Yeah, that's true. I think it is telling that it is important that I am spending my birthday. Oh, happy birthday, Wygar. I don't know how to pronounce your name. And let's see here. Any other questions, comments, criticism, news reporting, education? Sorry, I'm giving you all the... will Nintendo start DMCAing like old times? I think they still do. We're also watching carefully the Matthew Storman ROM Universe case. Yes, there is a person named Wighar who said, I think it's important that I'm to tell you that I'm spending my birthday. So this person, that's what I'm saying, that person's name, and I'll just write back and say happy birthday. So yeah, any other questions? Otherwise, we've been at this for 48 minutes, so I think that's a long enough stream about the Twitch situation, the Twitchuation, and that will be that. So yeah, there's not a whole lot that anyone can do to fix what Twitch has done. Twitch is trying to prevent everyone from getting copyright infringement lawsuits, and Twitch is trying to prevent Twitch from getting a massive copyright infringement lawsuit from the music industry, is my best guess. So by sending mass DMCA takedowns, which, let me correct this, the news is being reported as if Twitch sent the DMCAs, but no, Twitch is processing DMCAs that it accumulated over a period of time, it says over the summer, which I think is dangerously close to, if not over the line into, copyright infringement. So I think Twitch is just trying to cover their butt trying to prevent themselves from getting a massive copyright infringement lawsuit from the music industry, because the music industry will say that Twitch has not been obeying the DMCA. So I think what's been happening is that all these uses were copyright infringement for a long time, and now it's finally catching up that Twitch is going to be enforcing copyright law like it's supposed to be, like it's supposed to have been the whole time, and it did not do that. So to protect itself, Twitch will now be issuing or processing DMCA takedown notices like normal, and this is the sort of the first warning. So in a sense, Twitch is doing everyone a favor. They didn't count this as a strike against people. They didn't punish you for having the music in your stream by striking your channel or terminating your channel or allowing or somehow encouraging an actual copyright infringement lawsuit. Instead, they gave warnings. What I don't like is that they deleted all your content and you don't have any recourse. There's not a whole lot I can do about that, and I doubt there's a whole lot that you can do about that either. I don't like that, but here, Gregor says Twitch is trying to keep itself safe from a situation like Viacom v. YouTube. Yes. And recently there was a lawsuit from, I think it was Sony, against Charter. I think it was Charter Communications, the internet service provider. They didn't obey the DMCA takedown policy, which was a termination policy for an ISP. So the ISP let people infringe and kept receiving DMCA takedown notices and then didn't terminate their accounts, even when it said it was going to terminate their accounts. And even when it did terminate some accounts, it still reinstated them right away or after a month or something like that. So it disobeyed their own termination policy, or did not have a termination policy. And I think they got hit with $1 billion in damages. $10,000 per song times 100,000 songs, I think it was, something like that. The other problem is that Twitch is unable or unwilling to tell streamers what content is actually infringing. Well, that's pretty terrible. They should tell you what content they took down, and they should tell you what DMCA notice applied to that content. The DMCA takedown that they received is supposed to say what content, at what link, and maybe even at what time the infringing content occurred. And if it's not saying that, then that's not really a proper DMCA takedown. Again, though, Twitch doesn't have to host your content. So if Twitch just takes your content down and says we're concerned about DMCA takedowns, well, that's on Twitch to do. They are allowed to do that under their terms of service. Yes, so if Twitch streamers, recently were like, hey, we're on Twitch because YouTube Content ID is awful, well, now you have a similar system, Audible Match, I believe it's now called. So great. That's the other thing. There you go. So Twitch is going to take the Audible trademark and use it to be hated on like Content ID is hated on. Imagine if YouTube called it YouTube Content ID or called it Google Content ID or something. People would hate on it, and it would be associated with YouTube and Google. It already is, but now you're like putting the name in it. So now it's not Music Match by Twitch. It's literally called Audible Match. So I usually have an Audible affiliate link in my description. So now people who hate Audible Match are not going to want to listen to Audible books, right? So maybe that's a bit of a stretch. Imagine how this had been had Google actually acquired Twitch. I think that the DMCA issue would have been much worse.
According to Wikipedia, on August 25, 2014, Amazon acquired Twitch Interactive for $970 million United States dollars.
Thank you, Google. Thank you. Oh, good, it didn't respond that time. Okay. Use the DMCA to entice the threat. If you're going to use the DMCA, go through with it. Well, the DMCA is the medium option. So the old options were don't do anything or file a lawsuit. The DMCA is the in-between option. So if you don't like that it's an in-between option, well, that's the law. All right. Well, that's my show. Thank you to everyone who joined me. Remember that Lawful Masses is a community-supported legal education channel. We are trying to do our best to help you understand copyright law and other legal concepts. And so on YouTube and on Twitch for our live streams and on Floatplane for our member content kind of thing. Thank you for supporting us there. So patreon.com/LJFrench and sponsors.com/law are our community support channels. Thank you to our $50 plus supporters in the month of October: Joe Tyson, Wes Delj, Citizen of the Sovereign, John Steele, Gavin Barnard, Eevi, Kyle Mudrak, Spirit Bear, Andy, Benjamin Hitov, Stephen, Goliath Cleric, Ugly Grill, Shielo T, Rudolph Bescherer Jr., Jay Dixon, HotGrillsInYourArea, Oscar the Phrophet, Brandyn, Abel, Torpedan, IANAL, Cassandra, Curran, and ShadowTycho. And thank you to the rest of our supporters who are in the description of our video. Oh, this turned on as well. Okay, so there we go. Now that's back on. Great. That's what happens when you say "Okay, Google" in the middle of your stream. Go away. Anyway, have a great day, everyone. I love you all. I'm Leonard French, your favorite copyright attorney, and I'll see you in the Wizards of the Coast lawsuit video that I'll be making next. I'm going to try to change over to doing that now. I might be able to release it today. I don't think so because I have some appointments later, but I'll work on it. Love you all. Bye.